Hello, welcome to another episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health here on YouTube. I'm your host, Todd Rennebaum, and what a lovely episode I have for you again this week. This week I'm speaking with Carolyn. You would know her from Survivor Season 44. She is an addictions counselor, or was. She's doing other stuff now, and she's in recovery herself. She has ADHD, and just an incredibly wonderful, charismatic lady. So we talk about her time in addiction and stuff, and it's not all about the show. It's actually very little about the show and more about mental health. So check that out, and also check out the merch store for Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. It's either in the show notes or on the homepage of the channel. Actually, it's on both, I believe. So you can check that out. Also, I have a buy me a coffee thing. If you like what you see and you want to watch more and you want to support me by buying me a coffee, that would be amazing. And yeah, and other stuff like that there. Oh, hit like and subscribe and stuff and share. But anyway, without further ado, I give you Carolyn. Okay, well, I want to pump your tires first. I love you. I've watched Survivor since it started, and yeah, it's just nice having someone that represents someone that is a lot like me, like in recovery. I was just recently diagnosed with ADHD. Is very emotional, but also doesn't let their emotions. You know, you made clear decisions. Like you were, people thought you were a loose cannon because you were emotional, but you're just emotional, and then you thought about it and you made
exactly
nice decisions. And I was like, oh my God, this woman is me. So anyway, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm a real big smart ass, and by the way, I love some of my favorite moments of you on the show was like when you went and you're like going to vote and you're like, where the hell's the pen? And you're like looking all the, that is so me. I'm just like, how do I do this? Well, and
I'm not going to hold it in because it's like, it's so, that's the thing. Like when you're out there, it's just, it is confusing as hell. In my brain, the way, like, sorry, I'm sprinting. My dog's got to stop it. Okay, quit. The way my brain works, like we'll go through the challenges, okay? And you don't see this on TV, like they'll show like a little rundown. But Jeff will go through these like a few different times, and I would always have questions, and I would be like, whoa, and I would touch things, and like, you're not supposed to, so you'd be like, no, don't, because of like fairness, you're not supposed to. He wants every little like challenge area to be the same so it's fair. And so if I'm messing it up, so he'd be like, no, don't touch that. And it was like, because I'm not kidding you. He would go through it a million times. And then I would be asking questions like to Carson or whoever, like, is this how you do it? Is this like, I'm scared, I'm nervous. I couldn't process it. The way my brain works, it takes me a long time. School was very hard for me. College I failed math 4 times in college. I had to switch my major completely. My brain just doesn't work like that. So it's not even about like, oh, I'm so scared and I'm nervous. I didn't. Of course you're nervous. I was nervous out there. I didn't ever understand what was going on. Like I felt like the puzzles, people will say, and dig deep and keep trying. I was honestly like, can somebody else win so we can put me out of my misery? When I couldn't figure the knots out, I was just like, oh my gosh, can this end? It was brutal, but my brain never understood. And it's just the truth. Puzzles, I can't do them. It's not like, oh, I didn't. Well, Carolyn, you should have practiced. I did. My brain can't grasp that stuff. I can't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Watching that, I was like, well, I mean, a lot of it we didn't see, but I'm the exact same way. I'm pretty good at puzzles and stuff, but it's other things like giving me instructions. Like, I'm like, okay, so what? So do I start swimming or running? Like, what do we do? I jump now? Do I jump now?
I need help throughout the whole thing. I need to be like somebody telling me. It's just the truth. It is. So I hated those challenges, and I don't watch the show for the challenges, but it sucked. It just sucked. I felt like I always had questions. I never knew where to go. The voting, yeah, because what they did is they had all these chess pieces. And with the chess pieces, the whole like concept was, did people figure this out? As people get voted out, there's going to be less chess pieces on that. Like it's every time someone gets voted out, they remove them. So obviously, like throughout the game, there's less and less. But I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, where's the pen? Like, I couldn't even figure out how to vote. Everything is hard. And yeah, it just sucked. I hated it.
Well, bless you. Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the show, but I want to know more about you pre-show and like, so you're an addictions counselor and you're in recovery. I worked in addictions for a little bit. I worked in the place I went to treatment.
Oh, yeah. See, why? What did you end up? Sorry, I'm a horrible interrupter, but I'm working on it. Did you end? Were you one of those people who went to school or was in treatment and then was like, I want to be a counselor? I feel like everybody does that, right?
Kinda. I never went to school though. I was just like I worked nights and evenings and stuff. I was just a guy. I can't remember what my actual title was, but no, because of my ADHD, I blame it on my ADHD. I can't go to school because I'd go to school for 2 or 3 years and I can't even keep a job for 2 years. I bounce around so much. So it's like, how can I go to school for 4 years for a job that I don't even know if I'll want in a year? You know?
I actually graduated after dropping. I would drop out just because like my drinking, everything was using cocaine. Everything got really bad. So I dropped out. I ended up graduating in three and a half years, which is great. Again, crazy. But I had graduated early from like high school and I was doing college courses. And again, that might seem like, wow, you must be smart. I'm smart, but not like I have to try very, very hard. And that's how so yeah, I get it though too. And nobody knows what they want to do when you're like, you just don't. I went back to school, but I get it. Like school was very hard for me. And even in college, I remember this professor's like, you're way too disruptive. You need to go in a different room. Like, because I would talk, like, I read the answers, like, I'd be like, okay, figuring them out. And it's like, oh my gosh. But I get it.
Yeah. Well, bless you.
Sorry, I jump all over the place, so I won't do that. But yeah, I was a counselor.
No, go ahead. I do it too.
I'm horrible. I'm not horrible. So I was a counselor. I worked in because when I got sober at 22, and what I did was I truly was like, oh my gosh, like I want to be a counselor. Like I love this, and truly inspired by my counselor, and just. He was like, I want to do this. I can see myself doing this. So I went back to school and I was barely sober. And in where I live, like you have to be sober for 2 years before you become a counselor. Yep. But then you can do it, but you have to like get special permission or whatever. I was still in school. So it's not, I had like that ate up some time, but even like to do my internships and stuff, you're supposed to have 2 years of sobriety, which that makes sense. But I didn't. And I had to like get special, permission. And then by the time I started like the whole drug counseling thing, it was like, that's all like this with this work. It's so much. I have so much passion for just helping people and for addiction, for recovery, for people who are different, for people with mental illness, all of that. I have so much passion for it. And I truly love like hearing people's stories and all that stuff, but it's exhausting as hell. And it was, and for a long time, I thought like, I'm a counselor myself. I can't get help. So when I started to struggle and I really truly had this belief that I'm jumping all over the place, but I got sober. I'm done. I'm cured. And that sounds, and I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I thought. I'm serious. And I thought like, you know what? I've struggled so much. I've been through so much, but you know what? Like I've done so much work because that's truly what I did is I threw myself into therapy. I didn't get into AA right away. That was more like probably like after my, like a year and a half. I went to meetings all the time right away. And then I kind of was like, ugh. And then it wasn't until like a year and a half, 2 years that I like got back into it. And it's never been something for me that I do consistently. It's just not. I
Mm-hmm.
I had a sponsor for a long time. I'll go to meet, like I went to a meeting a week ago. Like I'll go when I want to go. Um, I'm a huge believer in therapy and just self-help in general. And so, and which is what works, but not being too rigid at any one thing. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I become a counselor, and I'm like, this is hard as hell. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm that type who can't say no. And so I would be counseling, and I'm like, I can't, especially in a residential treatment setting when they don't go anywhere and they're there 24/7. I was like, oh my gosh. And I had no boundaries. And I would get calls on the weekends. And it was just completely taking over my life. And I felt like and then the pay is like shit. So I'm like, this
Yeah,
sucks.
pay's
But I
terrible.
loved it. I loved it. I truly had passion. But then there was a job at the county and blah, blah, blah. And I started doing mental health and chemical health, working like for the county government. And that's what I was doing. And I bounced around I only worked at like probably 3 treatment centers, outpatient, residential. And then I went to the county and I was there for like from 2015 until just July that I left.
Mm.
So like whoo! And that was just more stability because people aren't living there. But I learned,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was going to say is I learned like, okay, just because I like did all of this work on myself, it doesn't mean that it like ends. And I thought like I said, I thought that it's just going to end and I've done the work and I'm done. And no, I've learned that throughout the years. I learned that probably the second year I was counseling is like, this is really like, and people talk about like high burnout. Whoo! So I did. I started like, I finally became okay with like, you know what? I think I need to like get a therapist and talk to somebody. And that's what I did. But it was hard for me because I was like, I shouldn't feel this way anymore. I should be like fixed. And I'm dead serious. And then once I started like, okay, accepting that like, okay, it's okay to talk to somebody. I felt so much better. And I still, even saying that, it seems I can't believe I thought that because it is so silly. I just thought, how am I credible and how am I capable of helping other people if I need help too? That's how I felt. And it's so not the case. And even
Yeah.
now, I have had like, a lot of struggles in my life, especially the last year. And I was holding off on what I'm doing now because I'm doing the one-on-one coaching and I'm doing like just more one-on-one stuff. So there'll be people who come to me with addiction, with all different types of things. And I always make sure to say like, I'm not a therapist. I'm a drug counselor, but like a lot of it is like authenticity stuff, people who struggle just in their own skin
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to be themselves. But I thought like, oh my gosh, I have so much going on in my life. And like, I can't help people right now until I get it figured out. I don't believe in that anymore. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things like so many people who come to me will say is, you aren't perfect and you put it all out there and I feel comfortable talking to you. I mean, it's just like in AA or like with when you have a drug counselor who shares their story. There's just something powerful about people saying that like, you know what, sometimes I struggle. And I make sure to do that and not say that like everything's perfect when it's not. So I really struggled, like I said, with like, well, I probably should like, before I talk about like abuse or before I talk about just my own struggles right now, I should probably like heal from it first. And then I said, screw it. No, because it's one of those things that's like, I didn't expect like the following that I would get after Survivor. I thought I would be a little turd and not a turd. I don't think of myself as a turd, but I
Mm-hmm.
thought that absolutely I'm going to be that crazy, which go ahead and think that if you want to, but I didn't expect the response that I got. And so I'm like, you know what? Like I have this like platform for a reason. So anything that is near and dear to my heart and anything that I believe in, I am going to speak up about. And there's not like nobody is ever going to tell me that I'm too broken or I'm not healed enough to talk about something. And that's just how I'm like, screw it.
Well, that's why support groups or peer groups work, is because people are still going through it and they're supportive of each other. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, but yeah, I understand what you mean. Cause yeah, I mean, I have people reaching out to me all the time too about, I have a friend that's going through this, or I'm going through something.
Yep.
And I'm like, I have to put up boundaries too. Cause I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I am also going through stuff.
Yeah.
Just because I have a
It's
podcast
hard.
about it, I'm not cured. And I do get a little bit of imposter syndrome. It's like, how can I be doing this when I'm not 100%? But
But
yeah, I
then
mean,
say that. That's the thing.
I do. Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. And when I was doing, I've shared this a few times, when I was doing, because I do a lot of cameos, and
Mm-hmm.
it was one of those things where I was like, I have to be all like, happy birthday and hi. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to do this when I am in the middle of like moving out of my house? I'm in the middle, like my shit is everywhere. How in the heck am I? It just felt so horrible. It did. It felt like, but here they want me to be on and they want me to be hi. It sucked. So I'm like, I couldn't do these videos any other way than to just be real and let it out. And that's what I would do. There are so many videos that I do where absolutely it's going to be like, here's your happy birthday. But like, I also like people, again, they come to me because of their struggles and what, not fitting in or
Mm-hmm.
just struggle with addiction or whatever. And so I make it very, very like clear that like, no, this is like, even like even someone like, okay, yes, I've been through this or that or the other and things. I was just on Survivor, and like you probably thought like everything's so great and wonderful. It's not always great and wonderful, and people need to know that. We, especially with social media, we look at, stop it, we look at everyone as like, oh, they have it all together, and I want to be the last person. Like, I don't want anybody to think that like I don't struggle. I don't want anybody to think that like I don't have bad days and everything's just great. I hate that shit. That's why I don't. Ugh. So no, I made sure even in my cameos I would be crying. I would let it out. That's real, and I feel like that's what people connected to when I was on Survivor. So it's like I'm just gonna keep being me, and I'm not. Again, we're not perfect, and we all struggle. Even when we help people, we can share that, like, yeah, shit sucks right now. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's one thing I've learned is to, if I'm not 100% honest, then I mean, it's kind of like keeping a secret, and secrets make us sick, as they say. So it's like, I'm going to be fucking 100% honest and genuine. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. And
It's true.
yeah, I just did an interview the other day where he's a stand-up comedian named Rodney Norman. You may have seen him on. He's like the guy with the big white beard and the crazy white hair. He's always on social media.
I'm really, really bad about like knowing who anybody is. I don't even really
I am
watch
too,
TV.
generally.
I watch like Survivor, and now I'm watching like The Traitors. But other than that, like I can't. I can't.
Okay.
I never know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, it's a show about mental health and addictions and whatever. And I was having a really bad mental health day, and so the whole interview is just me and him just talking, not about mental health even. I was just like, I feel like shit right now, and I just need someone to hang out with.
Yeah,
And that was the whole
absolutely.
interview. So, so I don't know if I'm going to release that one or not, but at the same time, why not? I guess.
Why not is right. Like that's just real. Like it's just like anything. Like again, I don't ever want to make because that's what I thought, because that's sure as hell what I saw is like, well, you do A, B, and C, and then everything's great. No, I never in a million years, and I truly thought that like, oh, I've done all this work on myself. I'm so proud of myself. I am like felt really healthy and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, okay, more shit. Like life doesn't stop, and you're going to like more challenges are going to come up. You're going to deal with more shit. And it's like looking at other people, like, and you would think too, that's what I would like. I think a lot of people do this. Like, okay, I'm this many years sober, I should be here, or I should be there,
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't still feel this way. You're gonna still have freaking feelings of this, you know what I'm saying? You still might
Mm-hmm.
have days that are hard. Like, that's just life.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone to think that like you get sober and everything's wonderful and perfect. No.
No, that's just one layer. You're just peeling back one layer. There's a whole,
Yes.
well,
And
for
even
me
once
anyway, there's a whole mess load more of layers.
and once you do the work too, it doesn't mean it just stops. It's constant. And I feel like who was that? I said this to somebody. I'm like, or somebody sent me something, and I'm like, I feel like that's all I do is like self-help stuff. But it's like, it is what it is. Like, otherwise what? I'm going to be live in denial and act like everything's okay when it isn't sometimes. Like, come on. So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Did you have some trauma as a kid? Like,
no,
being in addictions and stuff, quite often it's around trauma. Other times it's just we partied and the party never ended. And
exactly. I
yeah, oh, okay,
honestly, like, it's one of the, oh, my dog. And it's funny because one of the producers had said that out there on the show, like, almost because I feel like sometimes they try to like push you in directions of like saying things, and that like
right,
sounds like the more, that makes sense. But you had some trauma, or what happened in your life to make you like this, Carolyn? Nothing. Like, there isn't a one. There's not. And if I had like a ton of, I would share it. It's. And I think that's what's hard too for some people. Like, it's like, like, I know my dad like blamed himself for a long time, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to say anything like on TV about like my dad wasn't there for me, which I'm glad I didn't have that, because I feel like that would have kept me stuck for even longer, blaming someone else. And again, it's not
right,
blaming, but it's no, like, my family was supportive. Like, my dad especially was like always that one who was like encouraging me to be different and blah, blah, blah. My mom was a kind, supportive, like, there wasn't, no, I
right,
more so like, I feel like even just like led a secret life almost, like doing shit. And it's like, stop, dog. But I didn't, it was not one of those things like I had this traumatic event and then I'm like, oh, no, I couldn't
right,
stop once I started. And it got me to a place where I just hated myself. And that's the truth. I didn't like myself. And going into treatment, I had tried, so I had moved but I would do like really crazy things too. Like I remember, I don't want to share this yet. I'm not ready. So like, I'll wait on that.
damn.
No, I know.
I'm so curious now.
I just don't, there's stuff that like, I'm not ready for.
That's fair.
Like, just where it's like, then I have to, yeah. But nothing like, oh my God. Okay. So where was I going with this?
Abortion.
No abortion.
Oh, see, now I'm guessing. See, you got me so curious.
I'm just not like we'll get there.
Okay,
Stop,
okay.
Jerry. My dog he needs to be neutered, and it's just bad. Like, he won't stop. No. Okay.
What, he's
I
humping
ended up,
you?
what?
Is he humping you or what?
He wants to like, he'll just like hold on to me and then bite, and he wants to,
Oh, I see. Sexually frustrated.
he's just, oof. No,
Anyway.
Jerry. Okay. I would move. So my thing was like, okay, I would go and I would like try to start new and like recreate myself, but never ever changing anything except for the location, which we all
Right.
know, like, everywhere you go, there you are. And so what I would do is, like, I remember, because I ended up going to 5 different colleges, 5, which is really kind of crazy. Like, wait, what? But I would go, I'd be there for a semester, and I would black out. And then, like I said, once I started using cocaine, it was just like done. I would go in between periods of like dropping all of my classes and then doing like J term and doing like school in the winter or the summer. Like, it was awful because it was like I had that yes, absolutely. I had pressure from like my family to like do good and to finish school, like, but that's not anything like abusive. But what I would do is I would move around. So I would go start at a school, and then I would just be a complete mess. And then I would move without ever looking at I think I should probably change something. And I remember I had started at this school, and I got arrested before we even started classes. And so I'm thinking in my head, are you kidding me? Because that was my fourth school, and I'm in fourth place that I had moved to, hoping to start fresh. And I'm I am getting arrested before school even starts. And so all of that shame comes in, and all of that, what am I doing? Here I am in the same spot all over again, and school hasn't even started. And I remember there was they had put it in the student newspaper, it was crazy. I had smacked a cop on the ass. I ran away. I was
Jesus.
What else did I do? I had said something and I remember all of it. What's embarrassing is so was I just crazy or what? I remember telling this after going and oh my gosh. I remember everything. I wasn't even blacked out, and I wish I could have been I don't remember. But I was I had said I'm going to have to prostitute myself to pay these fines and all this shit. And so that goes in our student newspaper. And for a long time, that was the number one thing when you would search me. So, what was I going to say? So I hadn't even started school yet, and I'm trying to start fresh and start this hey, I'm new here. And that's in the student newspaper the first week of school. And of course, everybody's reading it because the story was so crazy. I ran, I tried to escape the cop. I smacked him in the butt. I said I was going to process it. It's this long, and I'm oh my God, here I am again. So I had my hood on. I was embarrassed to even go to class. And it was what the hell am I doing? And then I sure as hell couldn't tell my family hey, so I remember I got a job at the Dairy Queen to pay for my fines.
Nice.
And I quit later that day. I'm I can't do this. And but it's not that shame of just I hate who I am. I hate who I am. But it ultimately, and then again, moving again and starting the same. And my dad would come and have these interventions with me of Carolyn, you can't keep doing this. I remember I was I ended up in the hospital after overdosing, and it was one of those things I was looking up at him, and I don't even I don't remember where I was. But even at that time, I remember thinking and this is we learn about this the sincere delusion, we truly believe this shit. I'm gonna lose my mind with my dog. I almost got to take my braces up. Stop, Jerry. It's one of those things. I truly believed that I didn't it had nothing to do with any of the pills I took or the alcohol. I am in the hospital right now because I am taking a urinary tract infection medication, and that antibiotic is what did this. And I believe, I tried to convince myself of that. And
it's called denial.
It's denial. It was just crazy though. But I remember thinking oh my God, I just didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to think about it. And finally, getting into treatment, I had gotten arrested again. I had a DUI, blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking I wasn't wanting to be sober. I wasn't wanting, even going to meetings, because we had to go to meetings, and I would hear people and they'd share their stories and they'd be I have a year sober. And anyone telling me you can't do something, it's almost like a baby. If you're going to tell me I can't, no. Even if someone tells you you are never going to eat sugar ever again, I feel the natural reaction is yes, I am. No, I don't. It's too overwhelming to think never again. And that's where I feel the whole one day at a time thing really comes in. It comes in handy because it's overwhelming as hell to think that you're not going to do something for the rest of your life that you're used to doing. So that I had a counselor tell me, just try it for today and see how you like being sober today. Just do and I would do this, and I would check it off on my calendar, and I would, because I tried to cut down. I tried to stop. I never could. Oh my God. And so
dry
that's what
January.
What?
It's like, do you have dry January down there? Where it's like, just try for a month and
Oh,
see how you
yes,
feel.
yes. I mean, I didn't do anything like that, but I just would
Yeah.
when people would say like they're worried or I have a problem or whatever, it'd be like I can stop, and then so many people do that too, where it's like if I had a problem, like no, watch, I can stop, and then I am choosing to do this. It's not that bad, and then I'll drink again or I'll use it, and I thought I could control it because like I didn't get blacked out this time, or I didn't end up in the hospital. It's so stupid, but we convince ourselves of that. So I truly wanted to like just try it. And I'm like, well, I'll try it. I'll see if I like it. I'll see. And I'm not kidding you. I would put it on my calendar, and pretty soon it just became like this lifestyle. And I truly got this like sobriety high where I really just started to learn about myself. And I started to just enjoy my everyday, where it was like, wow. And then just learning about myself and working on myself, it was like, oh my gosh, like it is better with like, you know what I'm saying? Because I truly felt like I could never like live without it. And it was what, and again, I'm like, this is the shortened down version. It's not like it was this easy, but it was one of these things where it's like, I actually genuinely am enjoying my life and I'm giving it a chance. And it was like, I couldn't go back after that. Like when I started to genuinely enjoy it and I learned how to cope and deal with things sober, which felt freaking amazing because it was like, nothing was the same after that. Like relationships weren't the same after like learning how to like communicate, open up, share my feelings. There was all these promises I made to myself that I wasn't going to do like, I'm not going to hold it in anymore. I am going to share how I feel. I am going to heal every like part of myself, and I'm going to be like the best version of me. And I was on this, like, I'm writing poetry and I'm seeing like the trees are green and noticing everything for the first time. And it was just beautiful. And things weren't the same after that. Relationships weren't the same. Friendships weren't the same. I only wanted to connect with people who like just have like real meaningful connections with people. I no longer like, I realized that like the connections I had with other people, like what the hell am I doing? I don't even have anything in common with these people. So I craved like just like a higher life. Not higher, but higher. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, man. It's exactly what it's like getting sober, and yeah, so it is hard. It's a lot of work. It's super scary thinking like I'm never gonna smoke pot or drink again. Like bullshit. But yeah, you do it at one day at a time, and then life gets a little easier to live.
Yes.
And I say about my friend group, it's like it went from quantity to quality. So it's like I was like the life of the party. So I had like 300 friends, and now it's like I have 4, and it's awesome.
Absolutely. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's just like none of that shit matters. And even now, like I just don't need that. It doesn't bring me any joy. So, and I always tell people it's going to be really lonely for a little bit. It might be really lonely, but again, it's like, who do you want to be surrounding yourself with? Are you really even like? I just don't know.
Yeah. And it is uncomfortable, but learning and growing is uncomfortable.
I love uncomfortable.
I mean, I do and I don't.
I do. I'm not kidding you. I don't love making people uncomfortable, but I love like just the whole like growth aspect. I love like putting myself out there. I love, just working, like truly like working on myself. I do. Like, I don't like to stay stuck. I don't.
Yeah. I'm going through something right now that I guess I have to work on. I won't get into it, but
You can. You're not like a lot. Like that's the thing. Like we all struggle. Like that's the thing. We don't have to. We just.
It sounds so petty though, and I'm scared my audience will listen to it and go, "What? What a fucking
What is
shit."
it?
Okay. Oh God. See now, I don't know if I want to share.
Don't.
I want to share with you, but I'm worried about.
Cut it out.
I can cut
don't
it.
you edit?
I guess I could. Yeah. We'll see we'll see. Okay, so I am miserably broke right now, and I'm selling things out of my house, or I'm trying to sell things out of my house because I'm so broke. I'm married with a woman who works extremely hard. She's so supportive. My kids are going to university and they're even like getting jobs. And it's like, I can't keep a day job because I just go fucking crazy. So I've been doing the podcast for a few years. It's since I've been doing it full time in the last few months, it's grown exponentially. I can't say that word. It's
I
grown
can't
a lot.
either.
It's so I'm seeing like huge progress. So like my soul is being filled because I'm talking about mental health. I'm doing my passion, but it's not making any money. But the ball is in my court to go out and find it. I have this and to do like more speaking engagements and stuff. But I have some weird mental block where it's like with me and money and asking for money. I've had like 3 different businesses fail because I don't value myself enough, or I don't. I can't, like some people grind, right? And they hustle, and it's like I'm good at the creating part. I'm bad at asking people for what I'm worth part. So
I
I'm
think
miserably
that's the hard.
broke.
Essentially,
Yeah.
like honestly, I feel like that is, first of all, that's not like petty, or it's not like that's. I
But I feel like I'm
absolutely.
begging. Can I have some money, please? Can people support me? I'm gonna have a Patreon. Please give me some money. And it's
You
like,
have
ugh,
to. How else are you going to do it? I'm serious.
I know.
For myself, like going and doing, like being on Survivor and all that stuff. Like I, again, I thought like I'm going to come back and blah blah blah. I didn't. Even like I charge so much for cameos and I do all like that was uncomfortable for me. I wanted to just write people back. Okay, Jerry, you are gonna 1 second. Get out, Jerry. I didn't want to be, because people were like, Boston Rob doesn't even charge for his messages. I don't charge. Now he's doing it again. Okay,
You know what?
it's not that I'm charging, but I can't I can't keep up with it all. I won't. So yes, I have to
Yeah.
charge more, or I have to, but I had to like learn to be okay with that. But also even Carson has helped me so much with like the whole art of like, if you don't value yourself, if you don't, and even Adam Klein has told me about this. He was saying how like he would do all this stuff for free, and he's like, it was almost like people, if you don't put that out there and say like, this is my price, this is or I need help, or nobody knows. But if I don't value myself and my time and
Yeah, I know.
and he was like, people almost treated me differently because I didn't have a price tag on stuff.
Exactly.
And Carson
I
will
know.
always tell me, he's like, this is like your time. This is you have to, it's okay to do that. And he's helped me with so much like contracts and stuff. And I'm like, what? You think I can ask for that much? And like, you have.
No, I'm the same way.
And again, because we have a heart and we're helping people but like, sorry for me, like I left a horribly abusive relationship. I had to put a lot, and I'm open about this, where I tell people like, I left and I put like everything to escape. You know what I mean? All of it. I didn't think for 2 seconds like, oh, I kind of want to have a lot of money in the bank now. No, I like paid cash for my house. I mean, I put it all down. It's been hard, you know what I mean? But it's like, I am working my ass off, as we all just have to like grow our shit. It's not easy. I was working like, in the jails and whatever. I decided to take a huge risk and quit my job and go and try this stuff. It's not easy though. It's not. So just know, like, you got to fucking believe in yourself. And so if you have days where you're like, because you know how many days that I was like, oh my God, I can't do this right now. This is like, I have way too much going on in my life. I'm a mess. And I would call and just talk to people. And I'm like, and I remember, no, oh, he's horrible. I'm like, I gotta just do it. Like, you've got to be, like, my dad is really good about telling me like, Carolyn, this is all the stuff you've accomplished. Carolyn, like, I'm so proud of you and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I don't have him in my ear telling me that 24/7. We have to learn to like pump ourselves up, and it's the truth. And I do that. I was crying in my Jeep this summer because my car wouldn't start. And I'm like, this sucks. And then I got off my ass and I walked I was staying at my sister's. I had just moved out. And And I'm walking from like garage to garage to garage because I'm like, I got to get up. What am I going to sit and cry in my car, or am I going to figure it out? So I look, this was what my brain told me to do. I'm going to look and go from like house to house, and I'm going to look in people's garages, and whoever has the biggest toolbox, that's the person I'm going to ask for help for my car. And that's what I did. And I got my help. My car wouldn't start. I got a new battery. Or I could have just sat in my car and been like, I don't know what to do. And then I was like, you know what? I'm freaking proud of myself because life sucks right now. But you know what? I'm doing it sober. And that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, and I'm going to get off my ass now. We have to. And I get that that's not always easy to do. But I have learned.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you have to be your biggest, you might not have people who support you sometimes. You might have people who think you're nuts. You think I don't? But you have to be your biggest, nobody is going to believe in you like you. You have to do that for yourself. And I tell people, everyone I meet with, you need to pump yourself up. You have to learn to do that. It's not comfortable at first. I used to say some pretty shitty things to myself, but I don't. And it's not about filling yourself with fluff. It's not about positive I am strong. No, it's you. Why the hell do we believe all the negative? So again, it's stop speaking that horrible shit to yourself and pump yourself up. I tell myself all the time, holy shit, I do so much self-talk. I have Post-its over there. When I have to do hard things, I have Post-its everywhere that I'm reading. And I'm like, I am strong. I have been through so much. You are brave. You are confident. You are you have to. No, you might not have someone pumping you up. So we have to learn, even if it's not comfortable at first, even if it's weird. Why the fuck do we have to believe the bad?
Yeah. Okay. I will. No, one of the big things is when I see other people on social media and stuff doing that, it's so annoying. It's like
Why?
a used car salesman. So I have to do it in a sincere way, right? It's like that's the line I have to walk. It's like I don't want to be one of these goobers.
What do you mean so I got to get him again. What do you mean asking for money too? What do you mean by that?
Well, just for sponsorship or advertising or for speaking gigs,
oh yeah, you can't be doing that shit for free. You can't. And again,
I've had people give me shit and be like, no, I say $50, are you stupid? Here's $500, and I'm like,
you have that is what that part of that is what you, Jerry. Again, people.
Do you have a boner?
No, God, he just peed his diaper. He's got to get, he's been marked. He's got a diaper because he's been marking. He needs to get neutered.
Okay.
If you don't value your time, nobody else is going to, and they take advantage. It's the truth. Do you think I don't have people who I've told here, well, this is my this is my price, or this is my, and they don't respond sometimes. Woo! You think I give a shit? I have to do that. Otherwise, what? What is the point of what I am doing? Do I want to help people? Absolutely. But I quit my damn job and I am doing this. So I don't have time to be like, what do people think? And they think that people can say no. Okay?
Okay.
I'm dead
sorry.
serious, but you got to believe
Thank you for doing this for free, by the way.
What?
Thank you for doing this for free, by the way.
Oh, I was for so many people, I'm like, I can't do this shit for, I can't anymore. I'm sick of it. But yes. Again, there's one, yes, I get it. But speaking shit or any, but I then just say no. If I can't do it, because what is, we have to be selfish about this stuff sometimes, especially if this is you want to make this your career. We have to be. It's not selfish. You got to build it.
Well, it's affecting my mental health now again, is the problem. Because finances, and it's I'm not, anyway.
It takes time.
I don't want to take up this time.
This takes time. And again, you got to believe in yourself and tell yourself that if you don't put a price on stuff, or the worst people can say is no. I'll tell people, hey, this is what nope. Okay. Or I don't even hear back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I get that all the time.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
even if it's free sometimes.
Who-
But again, if I say it's free, then they're like, well, this guy's free, so he can't be very good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know.
Just believe in your damn self. I know easier said than done.
I just do it quietly.
Yeah. This stuff isn't easy. Don't give up, okay? Ugh.
Okay.
And don't
I
compare.
won't. Well, that's the thing. It's like, well, that's the other thing. It's perspective too. Like through my own eyes, I'm like, oh, I'm not worth this or whatever. And then other people are like, man, your life is so cool. And I'm like, it is?
Yeah, what?
You know what I mean?
Just
Well,
share.
comparison is the thief of joy, as they say.
That's what Danny says. Yeah. He said that out there on Survivor, and I was like, I got super pissed at him. Is that really a quote? Who says that? That triggered me, man, because he said that to me.
Why?
Because it was it was a tribal where I took it personally and I got mad at him, and he was saying like that quote, and I'm like, I'm not comparing myself, and I got all mad. Anyway, long story.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, I didn't know it was a real quote. Okay.
Yeah, no, it is. So that's funny.
I thought he was making it up, but it was a tribal where I was really emotional, and I was like, they were trying to compare like emotions versus strategy, and he's like, comparison's the thief of all joy, and I'm like, I'm not comparing. Yeah.
Did it show that on TV?
Yep, it was a tribal, and I was fighting with him. And then he says that exact quote. I thought he made it up.
Oh, no. Sorry.
But it is like,
Sorry.
I don't compare myself against other. First of all, I don't do that, and I really do mean that when I say I don't look and see like, well, what is this I don't even know who do you compare yourself to?
People with money, I guess, or like other podcasters that like maybe their podcast isn't even doing as good as mine, but they're making a living doing it. But then that's when I bring
time, man. Girl, I'm not even where I want to be. Like, it's true.
No, yeah, I know, but like my podcast is doing better than theirs, but yet they're making a living on it. But that's when I then take accountability and be like, okay, the ball's in my court to actually. No one's going to come running to me and like, here's a bunch of money. Can we be on your advertising? It's like it's up to me.
Yes, and we like you said too. We look at what people are doing. You don't actually know what's going on behind this. You don't. Like they act like, or they might say they're making a ton of money. Do we know that? Do you know that for a fact?
Yeah. True.
You don't.
I don't.
You don't. Okay.
So what age were you when you were diagnosed with ADHD? That's God. One thing I was curious.
Young, oh God, I don't know, like 4th or 5th grade, and it was one of those things. Like, I'm not a big diagnosis person. If you haven't, I don't know if you've like, or is that anti what you believe in all your like stuff on here? Is that okay? So
mine's different because I was diagnosed at 45 years old. So I'm glad I was diagnosed because I didn't understand myself. And now that I'm diagnosed, it's like very validating, and I can look back at life and stuff.
Say that. And there was how many people would tell me or I would get these comments like, after I had my autism diagnosis, I really learned to understand I don't fucking have autism. Okay. And I don't need somebody to tell, I don't need, this is how I feel is I don't, for me personally, do you know what I mean? I don't need somebody, that's not going to help me for myself, that's not going to help me understand. I know I have ADHD. And yes, knowing that has helped it to some capacity and whatever. But what's helped me is just accepting myself, getting help when I need it, and loving myself and not being too hard on myself. I just feel like so often, we're put in, anybody who is just different is put into a box, and I don't want to live like that. Absolutely. If I had these struggles where it was if I had stuff going on where I'm like, oh my God, and I don't understand what's going, but I have therapy for that. But I also, it's I just believe that so many times we're labeled and judged and because of our differences. And it's like, that's my whole childhood was like, why do you do this? And why do you do that? And I still get that in my adulthood. Like, you're too loud. You're too, why do you have to be like this? Or why? It's none of your damn business. Can we just celebrate the differences in other people and not try to diagnose every damn person who's different? Like, no.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I understand both sides of that. I don't know. For me, it was just really great being diagnosed, but maybe I'd be in your shoes if I was like diagnosed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't know.
Well, as a kid,
there's no one size fits all.
The stuff that happened to me, I feel like when I was a kid, like with it was just like wouldn't happen nowadays. But like, yes, I was just made to believe I was like this, like, and don't talk and don't. It's just like, oh my God, like that wouldn't happen nowadays. It just wouldn't. But I just feel like we need to just, the more that we like talk about this stuff too, I just feel like everybody's different, and that's okay. It's okay to be different. Get help when you like, if you're struggling, get help, and like just be kind. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know it's weird. It's not like I'm on medication now for my ADHD, and like I've seen counselors off and on for probably fucking 15 years or something, but just having that ADHD twist on the therapist side now, it makes a difference. But yeah, I'm not any different, but yet I don't know why. I don't know why just being diagnosed was such a big thing. Maybe it is the meds. I don't know. It's just like,
but understanding,
I don't know. I guess, yeah.
I guess. That makes sense. Like understanding yourself. I just like, again, I was way younger, and like what really was damaging was, again, just having people point at, especially when you're young, having people point all that shit out. And it's not like oh, and here's my answer. It's not like it was like, It wasn't like freeing or anything at that point, because it's this is wrong with you. This is wrong with you. And
yeah. I think for me it was because there was a lot of shame and guilt around being different.
Yeah.
So then was like, yeah, you are different. Here's the proof.
Yeah.
It's like, see? Okay, well, I don't have to feel guilty about being different now.
You never did. You never did.
I kind of.
Like that.
No,
that's
I
why,
did kind of.
That's why I say so much. Like, society tries to convince us that like we don't need to like live by. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's what's
society's sick, man.
What?
It's society that's sick, man.
It is. Like there's nothing wrong with you. That's why I say that. There is nothing wrong. Like we all struggle. We all some people just do a better job of wearing their mask or hiding it, and it's the truth.
Yeah, it's true. Oh shoot. Okay, I have a few things written down here that I wanted to get to before I forgot. So I have a segment on the podcast. It's called That Some Bunny Special. It's a segment where we chat about who cooperated in your mental health journey and helped fill your emotional tank. Brought to you by Co-op. So thank you, Co-op. See, I do have.
You.
I know I do have a sponsor, but
like, what are you talking about?
Girl,
like,
I okay.
Oh my!
I'm just weird, okay?
You are, but like, watch what you say to yourself. It's true.
I'm cool weird.
Yeah, you are cool weird. So be nice to yourself.
But anyway, the segment. Who would you like to give a shout out to that? Has been a huge support for you through your worst moments.
Yeah, I mean, who?
No one?
No, I'm just thinking like when, now or before or
whoever. It's up to you.
This is the first I had, just because we were just talking about like teachers and talking about like feeling different in school. For recently, I would absolutely say for like recent struggles, my dad Carson has been absolutely amazing friend. Love him. I could name, okay. But what came to my head for like the whole like growing up ADHD kid stuff and just getting to high school and like feeling like, where do I fit in and where, like, what's my worth and blah, blah, blah. Because by the time I got to high school, it was like, again, I was separated in 5th grade. Middle school, it was like, don't talk, you talk too much, you're too hyper. And then by the time I was in high school, it was like, I had no idea what direction I was. I didn't know who I was. Nobody knows who they are then. But I had always had bad experiences with teachers until I met this one who was amazing, and her name's Miss Leiden. And she just helped me see like my potential, and that I didn't need to be like, she just actually treated me like a human for the first time. And I never had that experience with a teacher. And it meant so much to me. And I love this woman. Like, she's just great. She was one of those people, like, I remember like, but she didn't like let me like get away with stuff either. I remember eating like, we were making some like Indian dish, and I ate the whole thing. We were supposed to like share it with the class, and I ate the whole thing. And she's like, Carolyn, you're going to need to go to the grocery store and buy all new ingredients because you can't just eat the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, so she holds me accountable too. But she was the only teacher that I had ever had throughout all of my history of school, because like I said, I had bad experiences with teachers, and I don't want to hear anyone's, well, you can't talk all the time, and if you're that's what, it's not that. We learn differently. Not everybody learns the same. And she treated me like a human for the first time. She was the first teacher to do that. No other one did. So that was like, hey, maybe I do have potential and I can go to college. I didn't even think, I remember she was the one who said like, aren't you going to apply for school? And I'm like, I'm going to be a truck driver. Like, girl. So I'm just saying that makes such a difference when you have that type of support, and you have somebody, especially when you've been told that you're this, that, or the other, look at you like you're actually a person and just talk to you like you're a human.
Acceptance and validation is priceless.
That was Miss Leiden. And she was at my watch party, like when I had for my premiere, like of like, I love her.
Was she on TV too?
No.
Did you point her out?
No.
Oh.
But I love her. She's just one of those people, like, she'll never, and I've said this to her a few times in my life, and she probably doesn't even know like the impact that she had. Well, no, she does, because I remind her. But it's one of those things, like, she probably didn't even think of it at the time. She probably just thought, I'm just being me, and I'm being my supportive, normal, like, teacher self. That's what I do.
Exactly.
She's a different human, like, but she's different because not every teacher is like that and treats people like that. And for the first time, I had that. So,
bless you, Miss Leiden.
Yeah.
Mrs. Leiden. Ms. Leiden.
I think everyone kind of goes by Ms. now, don't they? So,
I have no idea. So this has nothing to do with the podcast. But I wrote a book one time. It's a kid's book called Sometimes
wow.
Daddy
so how
Cries.
did you do that? Was that hard?
It was very hard. It's self-published. So again, it's like I had a hard time promoting it, but it was also during COVID, which was hard anyway. But yeah, that's something I'm very proud of, is that book. And it's about a kid watching his dad go through depression and stuff. So I don't know if you know, but I'm a suicide attempt survivor too and stuff. And
no, you've shared. So it's like,
okay,
you got to share your story. Like, keep sharing it. Like, people connect with that. I feel like the reason
I will, but they have to pay now.
What do you mean?
Because I need money. So they have to pay for my story now.
Well, not on, you think I just like, hey, and people came to me? You have to, and even like since Survivor, yeah, people might have come to me because like I got like the little platform, but I've continued to grow it because of like sharing, and you know what I mean? Just keep sharing. Yeah. You don't have to, no one's paying for that right now. Like, you have to, there's just like, I'm here doing this for free. Like, you know what I mean? Just
much appreciated.
Keep sharing.
I will. I am. That's why it's been going so well the last few months. It's weird. It's like, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're doing stuff. Like, again, give yourself more credit, because people are, like, you are helping people. Give yourself more credit. You are doing a good job.
Well, that's the thing, is like, I keep hearing that, and it's like, okay, I'm helping people, but I'm not helping my wife financially, which is something we need.
It takes time. Does your wife support you and believe in you?
She, every night in bed, I'll wake up with my face wet because she's spitting on me and calling me a loser.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Exactly.
Of course she is.
Yes.
She is.
So it's you're hard on yourself. And I get that. That's a part of this and that. And just keep
You
going.
said hard on.
What?
You said hard on.
No, I did not. Girl.
You said hard on yourself.
Hard. Oh my God. I didn't even notice. I'm going to kick your ass. So and that's everybody's biggest thing is like, we're hard on ourselves. You don't, of course you are.
You said it again.
Oh my.
Be sure to subscribe and to like this video. You can listen on Apple Podcast and Spotify. This is Todd Rennebaum saying, make your beds and take your meds. Keep watching for more interviews with incredible people telling their stories of resilience and adversity with mental health and mental illness.